Good evening. City Council is now in session. Please stand for the invocation by Council Member Butler Barlow, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Let us pray. As the election approaches, our nation is in a time of great transition. With all of the injustice and fear in our world today, we seek to better understand the issues and concerns that confront the City of Suffolk, our Commonwealth, and our country. We recognize that we are compelled to respond as faithful citizens in our communities. We ask for eyes that are free from blindness so that we might see each other as brothers and sisters, one and equal in dignity. We ask for ears that will hear the many needs of our citizens. We ask for minds and hearts that are open to the selection of leaders who will represent all people with genuine care and concern. We pray for discernment, for inspiration, and for guidance as we participate in the upcoming elections so that we may choose leaders who uphold and protect human rights and justice for all, regardless of race, class, gender, or religion. And we pray in gratitude for the right to vote. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Freedom of Information Act certification is required at this time. Madam Clerk, please present the resolution for consideration.
A resolution certifying the closed meeting of October the 16th, 2024, pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3712. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Suffolk hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements of Virginia law and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the City Council of the City of Suffolk in the closed meeting.
Council, a motion would be in order. Councilman Rector.
So moved.
Got a motion for approval from Councilman Rector, Councilman Bennett. And we have a second from Councilman Bennett. Any discussion of the motion? Hearing none. Council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
The motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
We'll now move to approval of the minutes from the August 7th, 2024 work session and regular meeting. And a motion would be in order. Councilman Williams.
Move for approval.
A motion for Williams for Councilman Williams. Do we have a second? Vice Mayor Ward.
Second.
Have a second for Vice Mayor Ward. Is there any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
Motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
We have no special presentations this evening. At this time, we will consider the removal of items from the consent agenda and adoption of the entire agenda as presented. Removal of any item from the consent agenda would only be necessary if any member of City Council wishes to vote on a specific item separately, and a motion would be required. Questions and requests for information on specific agenda items can be addressed during the consideration of the consent agenda after the agenda speakers, and a motion would be in order. Councilman Rector.
I move for approval of the agenda as presented.
Got a motion for approval from Councilman Rector. Councilman Johnson.
Second.
Second from Councilman Johnson. Any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
The motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
Madam Clerk, do we have any agenda speakers at this time?
No, Mayor Duman.
Hearing none, will you please present the items for consideration?
Consent agenda item number 7. An ordinance to accept and appropriate a 2024 port security grant from the United States Department of Homeland Security for the Suffolk Police Department. Consent agenda item number 8. An ordinance to accept and appropriate funds from the Commonwealth of Virginia Department of Aviation for the Suffolk Executive Airport. Consent agenda item number 9. An ordinance to accept and appropriate a 2024 port security grant from the United States Department of Homeland Security for the Suffolk Department of Fire and Rescue. And consent agenda item number 10, An ordinance to accept and appropriate funds from the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation Fiscal Year 25 Technical Assistance Program for the City of Suffolk's Public Transit Service.
Mr. Manager, please provide an overview of the items.
Yes, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, in regards to item 7, the city has received a 2024 port security grant from the United States Department of Homeland Security for the Suffolk Police Department. The grant is in an amount of $256,158. Grant will be used for renovations to the department's safe boat, support boat operators course, and purchase boat trailers and infrared cameras. Adoption of the ordinance will increase the revenues and expenditures of the FY 2024-2025 Consolidated Grants Fund budget by the $256,158. There is a local match of $70,286, which is available within the Consolidated Grants Funds budget. In regards to item number 8, the city has received $12,280.93 in funding from the Commonwealth of Virginia Department of Aviation in support of the Suffolk Executive Airport. The funding will be used to assist with repairs to the automated weather observation system. Adoption of the ordinance will increase the revenues and expenditures of the Aviation Facilities Fund budget by the $12,280.93. Local match of $646.37 is required and is available within the Aviation Facilities Fund budget. Regards to item 9, the city has received funding in the amount of $79,272 from the United States Department of Homeland Security in a 2024 port security grant. And this is for the Department of Fire and Rescue. The grant will be used to purchase and provide training for operation of a towed side scan sonar unit. Adoption of the ordinance will increase the revenues and expenditures of the 24-25 Consolidated Grants Fund budget by the $79,272, and there is a local match of $26,424, which is available in the Consolidated Grants Fund budget. In regards to item 10, the city has received $62,500 in funding from the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation FY25 Technical Assistance Program to assist with the Transit Development Plan minor upgrade. Adoption of the ordinance will increase the revenues and expenditures of the Transit System Fund budget by the $62,500 and a local match of $62,500 required. And this is also available within the Consolidated Grants Fund budget. Thank you.
If there are no questions about the items, the motion would be in order to approve the consent agenda as presented. Councilman Fawcett.
Move to approve, Mayor.
A
Thank you.
motion for approval from Councilman Fawcett. Councilman Williams.
Second, Mayor.
Second from Councilman Williams. Is there any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
The motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
We'll now move to public hearings. Our first public hearing is an ordinance to rezone and amend the official zoning map of the City of Suffolk to change the zoning from RLM, Residential Low Medium Density Zoning District, to OI, Office Institutional Conditional Zoning District, for properties located at 410 North Broad Street, zoning map 34G10A, parcel 1, and zoning map 34G10-4, parcel 7THUR22, *PT5*6, account numbers 3537137000 and 3537138000. This is RZN 2024-6. Mr. Manager, please provide an overview.
Yes, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. In regards to item 11, it's a public hearing. It is also akin to item 12, which you'll hear in a little bit, that public hearing. The Director of Planning and then Community Development, Kevin Wine, will provide the staff report. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, as the city manager alluded to, this item and your next public hearing are companion items. We have a rezoning that leads into a CUP request. It's been custom for us to present those together for the sake of time, so I'll do that this evening. But we do have a rezoning as a part of this. That is the first request. This is for property located at 410 North Broad Street. It's right at the corner of North Broad Street and West Constance Road. It's roughly 6.5 acres in size. It is in our core support use district. Here you have the property in its entirety. That's that entire 6.5 acres. To the north of the property, we have some single-family detached homes that are RLM in the Riverview neighborhood. To the south, we have some single-family homes, as well as the Elks Lodge that zoned RLM as well. To the east, it's the Constance Woods Assisted Living Facility that's zoned RU, and some office uses as well that are zoned O and I. And then west are some single-family detached homes zoned RLM and some office uses zoned O and I. So a summary of this request to include the conditional use permit. What they're seeking here is a rezoning from RLM to O&I. That's our office institutional zoning district. They're asking for an O&I conditional use, meaning that conditional zoning that meaning that they did provide proffers in support of that rezoning request. The rezoning would impact the entire parcel. That's that entire 6.5 acre tract. As proffered, 1.75 acres of the site would be reserved for a bank use only. Other proffers include conformance to submitted elevations, which I will share with you, as well as some building materials, as well as identifying some prohibited uses. Those would include some of the more impactful uses within our O&I district. Some examples include car washes, hotels, motels, flex space, convenience stores, both with and without gasoline sales, and tobacco stores, among others. The conditional use permit associated with this request, which is your next public hearing, would allow for the bank to utilize a drive-through. In the O&I zoning district, a conditional use permit is required for drive-through uses. As such, the need to get a CUP is necessitated within the O&I district. Here are some elevations that have been provided in support of the application. You can see it's a kind of a residential structure in a lot of ways from an architectural perspective, but these have been proffered by the applicant, in this case, Town Bank, so they would be subject to these elevations as proffered when moving forward with construction on the site. So here's the proposed layout. For the CUP, this is kind of the governing exhibit. So you have an idea of where the bank would be, what portion of the parcel would be reserved for that bank, as well as the location of that drive-through use that they're requesting the CUP for. The drive-through would be kind of separated from the main structure. It's common for banks to utilize that approach now, but kind of that island, about middle picture there. So this is the bank portion of the site, as noted. And then at this time, although it's subject to the rezoning request and the associated proffers, there's no planned development for the balance of the property. So that would remain undeveloped at this time. However, they would be subject to those proffers moving forward. So the Planning Commission, at their meeting of September 17th, reviewed this application. They're forwarding it with their approval to you all this evening by a vote of 7-0, and that is both on the rezoning application and the conditional use permit application. That concludes my presentation on this item this evening, and I will stand by at the conclusion of the public hearing for any questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Wine. Before we open the public hearing, Madam Clerk, will you please explain the timing system?
This is a public hearing. Each speaker is asked to provide their name and their address. We will have a 10-minute period for the proponents, a 15-minute period for those in opposition, and then an additional 5 minutes for rebuttal.
We have our first speaker, please.
Good evening, Mayor Duman, Vice Mayor Ward, members of City Council and staff. My name is Grady Palmer. My business address, 999 Waterside Drive in the city of Norfolk. I'm here tonight on behalf of Town Bank. It's a real pleasure to represent the bank. I think what you heard from Mr. Wine is this is a really phenomenal rezoning package that utilizes proffers to result in a more of a neighborhood scale commercial site. I know the mayor talked about the use of proffers Monday night during the Facebook Live session. I think this is a critical and a good example of the use of proffers, and so we think it's a really compatible proposal. The bank is well designed, the site is well designed, the balance of the property for future development is a low impact usage through the use of the proffers. And so we do ask for your approval tonight. I am here tonight with the Town Bank team. If there's any questions that they can answer, they can certainly do that. The architect, the engineer is here as well, to the extent you have any questions for them. But we do ask for your approval, and I will speak both on the rezoning and the conditional use permit for the sake of time. We ask for your approval. Thank you.
Thank you. We have our next speaker to speak in favor. Do we have anyone else who would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Hearing none, do we have anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Do we have anyone present who would like to speak in opposition to this ordinance? Hearing none, this public hearing is now closed. Council, an ordinance has been presented for consideration. Councilman Rector.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think when you take a look at this project and look at the commercial establishments that kind of dot that section of Constance Road between the law office and the real estate brokerage office, and with the Elks Club being right across the street, I think this is a very good compatible use for this piece of property. This is clearly a case of what we're being offered is a lot better than what could happen on that piece of property. So with that in mind, I will make a motion to approve the rezoning request.
You have a motion for approval from Councilman Rector. Councilman Williams.
I'd like to second it, Mayor.
We have a second from Councilman Williams. Is there any further discussion of the motion? Hearing none, before we vote, I would like to make a statement that I am going to abstain from this vote. I do own Town Bank stock. I don't think it actually qualifies for me to have a conflict of interest per se, but just to avoid an appearance of impropriety, I am going to abstain from this vote. So we have a motion for approval at this time and a second. Council members, prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
The motion is approved by a vote of 7-0 with Mayor Duman abstaining.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move to our next public hearing, which is ordinance to grant a conditional use permit to establish a drive-through use on property located at 410 North Broad Street, zoning map 34G10, parentheses A, parcel 1, and zoning map 34G10, apostrophe 4, parentheses 4, parcel 7THUR 22, asterisk PT 5, asterisk 6, account numbers 35371370 and 35371380. This is CUP 2024-16. Mr. Manager, please provide an overview.
Yes, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, as you saw in the previous public hearing, Mr. Wine gave the background to both that for the total project. Should you desire any additional information at this time, you can come forward, or if not, I would recommend that you proceed with your public hearing.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please explain the timing system.
This is a public hearing, and each speaker is asked to provide their name and their address. We will have a 10-minute period for the proponents, a 15-minute period for those in opposition, and then an additional 5 minutes for rebuttal.
Do we have anyone present to speak in favor of this ordinance?
Mayor Duman, Vice Mayor Ward, members of City Council, again, Grady Palmer, 999 Waterside Drive in the city of Norfolk. I just want to say thanks for the staff for their review and recommendation, and for the Planning Commission recommendation as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We have our next speaker to speak in favor of this ordinance. Hearing none, do we have anyone who would like to speak in opposition? If there's anyone here who would like to speak in opposition to this ordinance. Hearing none, this public hearing is now closed. Council, Councilman Rector.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the reasons stated in the previous public hearing, I would like to make a motion to approve this conditional use permit.
Okay, we got a motion for approval from Councilman Rector, Councilman Fawcett,
Second his motion, Mayor.
and a second from Councilman Fawcett. Is there any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
The motion is approved by a vote of 7-1 with Mayor Duman abstaining.
Our next public hearing is an ordinance to grant a conditional use permit to establish an accessory dwelling unit detached on property located at 6508 Holland Road, zoning map 40, parcel 16, account number 150220000. This is CUP 2024-13. Mr. Manager, please provide an overview.
Yes, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, Director of Planning and Community Development, Kevin Wine, will provide the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, as stated, this is a request for a conditional use permit to establish an accessory dwelling detached at 6508 Holland Road. This is right in the village of Holland. The property there is zoned RM currently, residential medium density. You can see it's surrounded by a pod of RM zoned properties, some agricultural nearby as well. Interestingly enough, it's right across the street from the Dollar General that is in Holland, that's zoned A. Oh, let's go back. So in this case, the applicant is seeking a conditional use permit to establish a detached accessory dwelling for her brother who has a disability on the site to serve as a residence for him. There is a current garage on the site that would be demolished, and this new one would be constructed. You can see that up on the map here. The red one is where it currently exists, and the yellow would be where the new one would be placed. The proposal would allow for construction of a garage to include 640 square feet of space for the accessory dwelling as proposed. Staff has reviewed the application as submitted, and we put it against our criteria as it relates to accessory dwellings in the Unified Development Ordinance. And a key here is it meets the sizing requirements that we have established, which limit accessory dwellings when they're detached like this to either 50% of the overall size of the principal dwelling or 1,000 feet, whichever is less there. And in this case, 640 square feet, because the principal dwelling on the property is about 2,400 square feet. So that is what they are proposing in this case. The Planning Commission at their meeting on September 17th did review this application, and they were forwarding it to you all today with a resolution of their approval by 8-0. So that concludes my presentation on this item. I'll be happy to stand by at the conclusion of the public hearing for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wine. Before we open the public hearing, Madam Clerk, will you please explain the timing system?
This is a public hearing, and each speaker is asked to provide their name and their address. We will have a 10-minute period for the proponents, a 15-minute period for those in opposition, and then an additional 5 minutes for rebuttal.
This is a public hearing. Will the first speaker please come forward and provide their name and address? That is to speak in favor of this ordinance.
Good evening, Mayor Duman and Vice Mayor Ward and City Council. My name is Kathy Holland. My address is 6508 Holland Road. This is my husband, Rod Holland. And I believe it was all stated clearly what we're looking for. We're going to replace our old garage with a newer garage, and it will have a downstairs apartment attached to it, 640 square feet for my disabled brother. And it should enhance the neighborhood much more than the garage that's there now. And that is all that we are hoping to do.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. We have our next speaker to speak in favor of this ordinance. Do we have anyone else present who would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Hearing none, do we have anyone who would like to speak in opposition at this time? Is there anyone present who would like to speak in opposition to this ordinance? Hearing no additional speakers, this public hearing is now closed. Council, an ordinance has been presented for your consideration. Councilman Johnson.
Move for approval.
Got a motion for approval from Councilman Johnson. Councilman Bennett.
Second.
Second from Councilman Bennett. Is there any discussion of the motion? Councilman Rector.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All I wanted from the Hollands is assurances that the Honor Vegetable Garden will still remain intact after this is done. And thank you for providing that to the community. My family and I have enjoyed it for years.
Do we have any other comments? If not, we have a motion on the floor for approval. Council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
Motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
Okay, we'll move on to our next public hearing. Our last public hearing. An ordinance to grant a conditional use permit to establish a bar and nightclub on property located at 3575 Bridge Road, Suites 32, 33, and 34, zoning map 12, parcel 55*1, account number 302421500. This is CUP 2024-19. Mr. Manager, please provide an overview.
Yes, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, Mr. Wine will again provide the staff report. Kevin?
Thank you again, Mr. Manager. Once again, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. As stated, this is a conditional use permit that in a previous life would allow for a bar nightclub, but in this current life would allow for a live entertainment use. This is a really good example of the impact and what would still be required to come before you all for live entertainment in the city, as we recently adopted amended provisions for live entertainment in the city. But this is for the AJ Gators that is located in North Suffolk, 3575 Bridge Road. The property is zoned B2. It's within the Bennett's Creek Crossing Shopping Center. And they've been operating with live entertainment for quite a while. And this would allow them to come into compliance. This is the parcel within the shopping center that the use is located on. It's on that kind of the wing that comes off of the Harris Theater, which is the larger building you can see on your screen. Here you can see the layout as proposed and where they wish to have live entertainment. It's concentrated towards the front of the building, closer to the street, or closer to the parking area, and they move a table out of the way to ensure that whatever live entertainment offering they are providing has enough space to appropriately operate. So in this case, they are seeking a conditional use permit specifically to allow live entertainment after 11 p.m. And that's where this need comes in for the conditional use permit. They would like to do it until 11. That certainly is after 10 p.m., which would be permitted by right. They primarily offer music bingo, trivia, karaoke, things like that, much less than any live music, but that would be permitted as well. So the CUP, as stated, would allow for that live entertainment after 10 p.m. With the conditions as in this case recommended by staff, which align with all of our other live entertainment uses throughout the city. So staff's reviewed this application in accordance with the Unified Development Ordinance, certainly as it relates to our updated provisions for live entertainment. And we are recommending its approval to you all this evening with those conditions contained within staff's report. And lastly, the Planning Commission at their meeting last month by a vote of 8-0 have forwarded this application to you all this evening with their recommendation of approval. That concludes my presentation on this item. I'll be happy to stand by at the conclusion of the public hearing for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, before we open the public hearing, Madam Clerk, please explain the timing system.
This is a public hearing, and each speaker is asked to provide their name and their address. We will have a 10-minute period for the proponents, a 15-minute period for those in opposition, and then an additional 5 minutes for rebuttal.
This is a public hearing. Will the first speaker please come forward to speak in favor of this ordinance?
Good evening. My name's Michaela Archer, 4300 Manchester Lane. I'm the general manager of the AJ Gators in Bennett's Creek on Bridge Road. I'm here today to ask for our entertainment permit. Our entertainment consists of trivia, music, bingo, karaoke, and an occasional acoustic. Because we did not know we needed a permit for entertainment, we had entertainment for a short period of time. During that time, we not only had 0 problems and no incidents. Since then, we have canceled it as soon as we knew we were supposed to. We have done everything in accordance that we were asked to of the city. We have had numerous people ask when our entertainment is coming back. In conclusion, we are not a nightclub. We are a restaurant providing good, clean fun for the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We have our next speaker who would like to speak in favor of this ordinance. Do we have anyone else present who would like to speak in favor? If not, do we have anyone present who would like to speak in opposition to this ordinance? Anyone present who would like to speak in opposition? Hearing no additional speakers, this public hearing is now closed. Council, an ordinance has been presented for consideration. Councilman Fawcett.
Thank you, Mayor. Brief comment. I go there and eat at this facility quite frequently, and I've been in there on the nights they've had bingo and trivia, music trivia, which is great. You get to win a little bit of surprises from the restaurant. A great place to go. They're great people. It's a nice facility, and I move to approve their request. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion for approval from Councilman Fawcett. Vice Mayor Ward.
Second.
A second from Vice Mayor Ward. Is there any additional discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
The motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
We have no ordinances. We have no resolutions. We do have one staff report this evening, which will be a public safety update. Mr. Manager, please provide an overview.
Yes, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, this will be a 3-part presentation. Police Chief James Bowie will give some overview of the police department's activities and statistics, followed by Fire and Rescue Chief Mike Baraki, who will provide an overview of the fire department, and that's going to be followed by the Director of Finance, Charles Meek, who will review the Public Safety Committee's project status report with you. Chief?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, City Manager, thank you for the opportunity to come speak about the crime statistics and our community outreach program for the Suffolk Police Department. I'm going to start out with the total calls for service. This will run from July 1 of 2023 through June 30th of 2024, the fiscal year. And as you can see on the screen, from July 1, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, we answered 71,380 calls for service. From January 1 until June 30th, we answered an additional 69,930 calls for service, bringing the total for 2023 to 2024 fiscal year to 141,310 calls for service answered by the Suffolk Police Department. I did a little bit of extra math on that, and with the amount of officers that were answering those calls during that time period, it averages out to over 2,000 calls per officer during that time period. So that's a tribute to the hardworking men and women of the Suffolk Police Department. The next screen is self-initiated calls for service. These are calls for service that the officers will pick up on their own. They'll see something that occurs or hear something that occurs, and they will mark out on a call on their own without being dispatched for that call. And that total number is 70,644 self-initiated calls for service by the police officers. Moving on to our Part 1 crimes statistics from January 2020. We're comparing January 1, 2023 through September 30th, 2023 to January 1, 2024 to September 30th, 2024. Our homicides are down by 10%, rapes are down by 24%, robberies are down by 37%, aggravated assaults are down by 24%, burglaries are down by 20%, and larcenies are down by 4%, and our vehicle thefts are down by 1%. Our arsons are showing that they're up 100% from 3 arsons to 6 currently. So we're down at this point from this time last year. Part 1 crimes are down 9%. It's projected that with the current trend that at the end of the year that our crime will be down 5 to 9% for the year. Our community outreach events, those of you that don't know, we rehired Joan Turner as our community outreach coordinator. And I have to say that to date is the best move that we have made. She is just unbelievable in her work ethic and the things that she does. She, since hiring her on August 7th, 2024, we've already attended 23 community events under her guidance. And I can tell you from somebody who speaks to Joan every day, Joan keeps you hopping every day. Joan has got something going on every single day, every single weekend. And like I said earlier, she has been one of the best hires that we have made in the police department since I've been chief of police. She's, some of the events include National Night Out, the YMCA, Alzheimer's Walk, Civic League meetings, Suffolk Public Schools Back to School Welcome, a Taste of Suffolk, and a unified day of caring cleanup event, and many, many more to come. Some of the accomplishments for the police department: we posted 3 job fairs we received 110 applicants and hired 11 lateral hires. Recruitment and retention for the department is up, vacancies are down, and we have currently 16 new recruits in our police academy that are due to graduate in December. The Marcus Alert program, we certainly can't take credit for that all by ourselves. We work with a partnership with the fire department and the Western Tidewater Community Service Board, and the whole purpose of that was to reduce the law enforcement's role in mental health calls, and it has certainly did that. It's too new to know the real data yet, but just knowing from hearing what people are saying that it is working. And we hope for big things from that in the future. And thanks definitely to the fire department and Western Tidewater, who do most of the heavy lifting in that. We partnered with Public Works over a long period of time to implement the photo enforcement cameras. The police department partnered, and that's been a very successful program. New trikes and a bomb dog. The trikes are used, as you might have seen at Peanut Fest this year, and we're using them at all of our special events. And a couple things I'd like to share is I know at Peanut Fest this weekend, the trikes were able to locate, the men and women on the trikes were able to locate a person that was reported missing at the Peanut Fest. And they're able to do that just by moving quicker. You know, them things travel 40 miles an hour. So we're able to get the things quicker and able to resolve them quicker, and that's what they were able to do in this case. Believe it or not, one of our guys, he showed me at Peanut Fest, he did a traffic stop which is really not what they're recommended to do on the trikes, but did a traffic stop of a tractor trailer on North Main Street, who wasn't supposed to be on Main Street. He showed me a picture of himself writing the tractor trailer driver a ticket on his trike, who he stopped on Main Street. We were at a football game Friday night. Big crowd was starting to gather in front of the school, and a fight was getting ready to ensue. Our trikes were able to respond from the stadium part of the football, from the school to the front of the school, and were able to intervene before that fight ever got started. And we never would have got there that quick on foot. Our bomb dog crashed. Some people got to meet him not too long ago. He's a character. We didn't bring him tonight because he's a character. But his handler and him are still in training, and once they come out, they will be a great asset not only for the police department and for our brothers and sisters in the fire department, but for our schools also. When we receive bomb threats, getting our kids back to class quicker, because we can clear the building quicker because we have dogs that are here within our city. Our 50th anniversary badges, we've handed them out to all of our retirees. We're doing yearbooks for the police department that will be distributed to all of our personnel free of charge to them. And our new CAD and RMS system getting is in full swing. And on our end, Major Jesse Epperson is playing a huge role in that. He's our subject matter expert, and that's going to be, within the next year and a half, it's going to be phenomenal when we get that in play. And with that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Chief Mike Baraki. And I'll hang around for any questions that anybody may have.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. It's an honor to be standing in front of you this evening, and certainly Chief Bowie said colleague, and certainly I hope that not only Chief Bowie understands, but members of the police department, how much the fire department, myself, and the members of our organization value our relationship and the services that we give hand in hand. So, Chief, thank you. Statistics for fire and rescue, I decided to break it upon the FY 23 versus 24, but I'll concentrate my delivery to the 24 statistics, but if you'd like to refer back to the volume or to the change in numbers that's sitting there to your left. We have responded to, total responses, 47,541 responses. Of that, the actual number of incidents is just under 20,000 incidents for Suffolk Fire and Rescue. Decided to try to break the numbers down a little bit more for you. An EMS, or an emergency medical response, requiring a medic unit, an ambulance, trained with paramedics, and usually an engine company will respond with that medic unit, 14,086 in FY24. And of that, we can break it down a little more. 39 of those cases required a person to be extricated, what we will call a pin or an entrapment, to be removed from the vehicle via tools. Medical transports, we have transported 10,608 people during that time. Alarms, hazards investigations, could be anything from a fire alarm activation, odor investigation, odor of smoke, odor of natural gas, that type of run, 5,300. When we get down to the actual fires, we'll respond to many more fire calls than this, but the amount of fires at 480 are times when smoke or fire is showing from a structure, a vehicle. This afternoon on Stewart and Holland, a shed was burning and exposed to a home. That's an example of that. So 408 times we have fire showing from a structure, a vehicle, a RV, etc. Of that, 149 were structure fires, and 331 of those, 480, were some kind of vehicle brush, other fire. When we look at property loss, content loss, and total loss, that $5.1 million total, I'm not going to say that's a celebration. We don't want to have property loss or content loss, whether it's a business, a structure, a vehicle, whatever. But when we look at, and I didn't put on here, our property saved, is when we respond to a structure that's on fire or a vehicle that's on fire, then in our fire reporting is required to say the estimated dollar loss of the structure or the vehicle, and then we have to put the value of that, the value of the home. And many times we use our open data with the assessors, or open data with Kelly Blue Book or whatever, to see what the value of that vehicle was or that structure was. And And then the difference of that would be what we call property saved. Our property saved right now for some of our large businesses alone is at close to almost $100 million. And we look at that, we're saying if we go to a fire at Birdsong, Massimo Zanetti, et cetera, and we suppress or we do our job, and then we look at the property that is assessed at, that difference is pretty significant. So I just want to let you know that we look at our outcomes, and our statistics and our outcomes, I think, prove that having a well-trained, a well-staffed, a well-equipped, thank you, Charles, fire and rescue department provides us that opportunity to have property saved or an outcome on a medical side that's valued by our citizens. I don't have data. Chief Bowie mentioned about MARC or Marcus Alert or MARC 1. That went into effect after this data would have been delivered. And our next presentation, I'll be able to provide, both of us will be able to provide some good data on our Marcus Alert and our MARC 1 vehicle. A little bit of statistics here. For FY24, busiest firehouse is right down here on Market Street. Fire Station 1, 4,400 calls for service. The busiest medic or ambulance is Medic 1 at 4,022 runs. That's about 12 calls a day average for service. Mr. Moore and myself, Gary, Mr. Meek, Charles, and I are working at the only firehouse we have without a medic is Fire Station 4, Lake Kilby off Pitchkettle. Our plan when that fire station is open is to put a medic unit out there. So Medic 1 is the only medic that we have, ambulance that we have that covers 2 districts. So that number we hope will come down, which would be a better service to the citizens when Fire Station 4 can get that medic unit. Engine 3 off White Marsh is our busiest engine at 2,558 calls for service a year. And Ladder 11, which is on Bridge Road right now out of Fire Station 5, when Fire Station 11 will open, we'll move to 11, is running 1,649 calls for service. My final data point here will be from our Fire Marshal's Bureau. Many times a Fire Marshal's Bureau is a bureau of 8, to include 1 plans reviewer, a fire marshal, deputy fire marshal, and 5 investigator inspectors. For FY 23-24, or the data for there on your bottom there of your data chart, is investigation, fire responses or follow-ups are 343 in that year. So that is investigations into the crime, or to not only the crime of arson, but to understand what caused a fire, we call cause and origin, and to make a determination if a crime occurred. We have Chief Bowie, I think, reported 6 arsons for that last fiscal year. Our data shows 9. The number, I think Chief said, that has increased on his data as well is we increased from 5 arsons to 9. And the reason that they made the stat of arson is that means that they were sent through the Commonwealth Attorney's Office for prosecution, and those are the 9. Some of those data points are more arson that we feel we're investigating, but we've not sent to the Commonwealth Attorney, so it has not made that number yet. But there are active investigations above that. That's just what has made it to the Commonwealth Attorney. Threat to bomb and burn or explosives, 88. The next data point, your hazmat environmental, is something that Mr. Moore, myself, Narendra Plez, our Commonwealth Attorney, is working on as well, is that's when our fire investigators will go out to a report of illegal dumping. It could be petroleum into our waterways. It could be people dropping off batteries in the middle of, let's say, off East Washington Street and some of the areas there that we have seen. There's some dumping places in our city that we know. And so at that point, it becomes an environmental crime and is prosecutable by the fire investigators, in which we're continuing to not only evolve on, but make better progress as a city. And we feel good about those 54, and we're working with Ms. Plez on that as well for prosecution. Inspections, permits, site visits. Chief mentioned Peanut Fest this weekend. Whenever those vendors go up there at any point in our community to serve or to have a stove style or any type of truck, then before they're allowed to do that, then an inspection occurs to allow that all the cooking appliances, the propane or whatever you're using to cook is inspected for the safety of the community. 603 of those, and that number is static, about 600. But as our city continues to grow and develop and have more food trucks, et cetera, we'll see that number grow. The others are fire investigators from Project Life Support, Project Lifesaver, PLS, EMS calls and motor vehicle crashes, 270. So our fire investigators are all also sworn firefighters as well and maintain their paramedic or their advance as well as being an investigator. Pub Ed, to support Chief Bowie, as I'm very proud of our community risk reduction department through our Fire Marshal Bureau, which is a team effort, but Master Firefighter Katie Russell is our community risk reduction Master Firefighter, and we are proud to say that we have increased that dramatically in FY24 to up to 99 events, and our data shows that 16,000 people were engaged with, went to, was in a class, an education in a school, at our fire station, and a firehouse, and that's all positive outreach that we're very proud of. Law enforcement LE or CIT engagements for 46 fire investigators. And finally, Mr. Wine has delivered today an example where 516 fire protection plans are reviewed, and that's in conjunction with our city staff, many other city staff other than fire and planning, to ensure that any business or any opportunity for growth or development, fire lanes are adequate to accept or to receive fire trucks. The standpipes or the sprinkler system is adequate for the fire flow. And Ms. Ashley Jordan is our fire plans reviewer. And because of our growth and what we're doing in the city, she's very active in that role, and I appreciate her doing that. And finally, when it comes down to this slide, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Meek, is Vega, our explosive detection K9. No data is on here because Vega started officially working after training on August 1, just before our school system was opened. And Vega has been very busy. Crash and Vega are quite the team. I think both are relatively characters in their own right. Yet our next presentation, we'll be able to give you some very good data on what our K9 engagement is, and also the partnership we have with Suffolk City Public Schools is incredible. We're actually getting Vega into the schools during assemblies and other type of education periods to kind of show the students and the kids that are in the classrooms that we have this two right now, detection K9s that will be in the schools very quickly, and we hope that will be a deterrent. And with that, Mr. Moore, I'm going to step down and turn it over to Mr. Meek.
Chief, I believe Vega swept Old Dominion's football field, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. So Vega is a regional resource as well, and Vega is being called out, just like we utilize in the city, resources from the Coast Guard, Portsmouth, Newport News, et cetera. And so Vega right now spends a lot of time at Old Dominion football games, sweeping pre-event before the not only the students, but the football players are allowed in, but actually during the event as well, we'll sit there and sweep as well. So, yes, sir. Charles.
All right. Heard a lot of great statistics, and I'm here to provide an update on the community safety projects that are being funded with the city's photo enforcement, through the city's photo enforcement program. The projects are brought forward for consideration at the Public Safety Committee meeting and recommended to the city manager for funding allocations. To date, 32 projects and initiatives have been funded, totaling a little over $5.4 million to enhance safety throughout the city of Suffolk. Projects range from pedestrian and traffic safety, such as crosswalks and sidewalks, signals and controls, traffic cameras, to public safety equipment, such as bulletproof vests, flock and shot detection cameras, and much more. We take a look at the actual projects. Those that have been marked as completed thus far include school flasher upgrades throughout the city at $161,273. Chief Bowie mentioned the police trikes. 4 of those were funded for $65,000 being used out in the community and at different events. The Sheriff's Department bulletproof vests, we were able to purchase 40 new bulletproof vests to outfit the sheriff's deputies with vests for each deputy. Previously, in some cases, they were using vests from the police department and some hand-me-down type vest, so strengthening the force over there. The Kings Fork High School and Middle School crosswalks between those two schools has been funded and completed, as well as the Mill Street guardrail improvements. So completed projects totaling $322,739. We have a number of projects that are in various stages in progress, nearing completion, or just recently initiated, including the Portsmouth Boulevard Suburban Drive pedestrian signal and crosswalk, the drug IV box exchange program at the fire department. This was a federal FDA mandate requiring the fire department to track, deliver, and maintain their pharmaceuticals. So we've got a program moving forward there. Downtown streetlight upgrades and additions has been initiated. A train information program being implemented by the Public Works Department. Carolina Road sidewalk from Obacy Industrial Park to Dill Road. Emergency vehicle preemption upgrades to allow for emergency vehicles to get through intersections safely and quicker. Sidewalk additions at Nansman River, John Yates, Booker T. Washington, and Hill Point Elementary Schools are ongoing in various stages of completion. Portable speed education trailers, 5 of those have been purchased, they've been received, and the graphics are being put on those, and we'll see those out in the community very soon. Main Street sidewalk from Palmyra to the Hardys has been initiated, along with guardrail additions throughout the city that get damaged quite frequently. Also, in Public Works is applying for a Safe Streets grant. This funding here of $82,000 is matching funds, and if awarded, would be used for a safety action plan to develop a plan to reduce major traffic accidents throughout the city. Kenyon Road sidewalk from Holland Road to Lakeland High School has been initiated, along with sidewalk additions from Shoulders Hill to Raby Farm Lane to the Seaboard Trail, and Kings Highway to Drivers Lane and the Seaboard Trail. These are currently into the design stage, expecting construction to occur in 2025. Also currently purchasing portable speed feedback signs, 6 of those that can be deployed in neighborhoods and areas throughout the city. We mentioned earlier the bomb detection dogs for the police and fire, $30,000. This will get moved over to completed once Crash completes training and is out on the street. The address sign program, Public Works is initiating this. This is to assist emergency vehicles locating addresses quickly as they're responding to calls. Then this program, a typical sign that would be purchased and installed will cost about $60. The idea is that the city's funding would pay for $40 and citizens would kick in $20. Parade bollards for traffic and pedestrian control to assist the police department at $400,000. A rail safety study match to a grant application for rail safety planning and improvements. Automatic vehicle locator upgrades for the police and fire department so they can remotely track where all of their vehicles and assets are throughout the city at any given point in time. that? Park and trail flock cameras at $175,000 was recently funded. Sidewalk near the Western Tidewater Regional Jail, $167,000. The Fire Station 3 security improvements will provide fencing, some access controls, and security, $138,200. Two-shot detection cameras for the South Suffolk area. Constance Road sidewalk at Main Street, Penner, and the Wilroy intersections. And in the Harborview Boulevard ADA sidewalk and pedestrian controls, improving the sidewalk and pedestrian controls along Harborview Boulevard, and then traffic cameras at Main Street and Washington Street. So a little over $5 million in projects and initiatives are underway. We have over 300,000 of equipment and different project community safety improvements have been completed. So a lot of good things going on that citizens will see here in the near future. And with that, we will try and answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Meeks. Council, questions or comments? Are you bashful? Councilman Rector?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's an impressive array of statistics from everybody. I do have just a couple of quick comments. And Chief Bowie, I agree with you. Joan Turner, man, she's a fire plug. Even before she went to work in your office, she had been to some of our Civic League meetings with the Commonwealth's attorney. And yeah, you don't get anything by her, and she's not going to let you rest. I can promise you. So I agree with you. That was a very good hire. The number of responses that you guys make, both on the fire and the rescue and on the police, is just an astounding number to me. It's almost more than one per citizen. So I mean, obviously you guys are busy, and I'm not quite sure how. I mean, I find it amazing that each officer is responding to almost 2,000 of them a year. That's just an incredible number.
Yes, sir. It was for me too when I did the math on it. It's 141,000, in a single year. When you divide that up into the amount of officers that are answering those calls, it's a large number.
Mm-hmm. And then my only question about the Public Safety Committee project status report that was given, the parade bollers, can you explain a little bit more about what they are, how they're deployed? Are they permanent? I mean, I always think of a bollard as, pretty well anchored in the ground.
No, so these are mobile. We can take and they'll come on 2 separate trailers, and you can take them from where you need them from intersection to intersection. And that's why we went with that, because if you put the permanent bollards down, they're there.
Right.
And if traffic changes and you get other intersections that there's a need, you can't move those bollards. But these here, we can move from event to event to, say, for example, during a parade cover across, when you come over the overpass on Washington Street, we can cover that lane of travel where it'll stop a big truck from coming through there. It actually, when it hits it strikes it, all them bollards stay together and it disables the vehicle.
Now, will that prevent you guys from having to deploy so many officers at all those intersections during parades?
It will help from where a lot of places where you may have cones or where you may have police vehicles blocking the roadway, we can place these bollards and place that, and we can put them other resources elsewhere where we may need them. And it's what they do. If a big box truck decided to steam through one of those intersections, he could possibly get past police vehicles, but he won't get past these bollards.
Okay. And then, Mr. Mayor, you may have to answer this question. Are most of these, did all these come out of your Public Safety Committee and the portal that we've got established? So that's really working well.
It's a combination of both. I mean, most of them have come out of the committee members themselves, but we have taken citizen suggestions and use them. One that comes to mind are the cameras on the trails that was suggested. We're starting to get more responses now. I've noticed in the last week or so, we've had 3 or 4 responses, and I was going to wait till I speak, but I encourage our citizens to go to the website, the Public Safety Committee tile is on the front. Click on that, go to it, and put in your suggestions, because every one of those suggestions are reviewed by the committee when we're considering what initiatives to take, what to spend money on, and we want to hear from the citizens. I understand that our citizens know better what is needed in their communities than we do. I mean, we can look at numbers, but the folks that actually live there, and it doesn't have to be big stuff. If you look at the initiatives that we've taken and what we're spending money on, I mean, it's a combination. Public Safety Committee is a little misleading because it's also, some of it is crime reduction, some of it is directly related to crime reduction, and then the other ones are strictly safety. You know, a sidewalk is for safety. Flock cameras are for crime reduction. Lights kind of hit both. So this has been, I mean, if there's been a success story in our city, I think this is one of the absolute examples of what can happen when we make the best use of certain resources, which are the resources that were created through the traffic enforcement cameras. But what most folks don't realize is the formation of the Public Safety Committee was before we even had traffic enforcement cameras. It was formed so we could take the heads of all of these different departments throughout the city and agencies, and they would be in one room to brainstorm at one time as to how we can address crime and safety issues, not only just brainstorming with the thought process, but also joint use of our resources. And I'll remind everybody, we've got, you know, in this room, we got the fire chief, police chief, the sheriff, the jail superintendent, Commonwealth's attorney. I mean, Suffolk Redevelopment and Housing now is participating in our meetings. And it's just amazing how much comes out of that committee. I'm amazed every time that we meet, the feeling that we have. The projects that you see up there, those are just the projects that are funded. That doesn't include the projects that we have, on the wish list, waiting to be funded, prioritized and funded, and that's what we have to do. We have to prioritize and we have to fund based on what we have. But as far as I'm concerned, I mean, the reports that we've got, I mean, with crime being down almost 10%, that's great. Something's working. Our fire department, fire and rescue, they continue to offer, an exceptional, professional and responsive service, and that's what you ask for there. The bomb dogs, they don't sound like much. Whoever thought a bomb dog would come out of the Public Safety Committee? But when you stop and think about it, we had several incidents fairly close together with our school system with bomb threats. Without us having our own canines, those kids have to come out of school. They have to stand out of school. They have to wait out of school, and we have to wait for a neighboring locality to respond, or the feds, whoever's going to do it, to clear that school. Now the call's made, and we've got 2. I mean, if the fire department gets there first, they can start first and be followed up with PD or the other way around, and our kids the school's cleared and they're back in school. So lots of times you don't think about all of the advantages to it, but it's become quite apparent that what we're doing is working. I mean, it's 27 projects, and I couldn't be more pleased or more proud of everyone who serves on that. The attitude of everybody serving in there is just amazing. It's not a matter of whose responsibility is what. It's our responsibility, our collective responsibility, to ensure that our citizens are as safe as they can possibly be. Did I answer your question? It is election time. What? Thank you. Okay, who else may come? Councilman Fawcett.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make a couple of brief comments. First of all, Chief Bowie, the statistics are great statistics. I mean, I think a lot of places would like to be in that level of change that we've been, to be close to the 10% mark, but even that, I mean, we got to keep continuously pushing it down, but phenomenal numbers, I think, for a city of the size we are. Keep with the community engagement, both sides, fire, police. I know our sheriffs do a great job in community service and events, but that's what really happens is when we get out there and not only on National Night Out, but other events to kind of communicate and kind of link ourselves to the public, that get to see the other side of us that they may not see. So I want to thank you both for doing the community service side, as well as the Sheriff's Department. Chief, on the 110 applicants, and you know, I know you had 11 laterals go in. That may not seem like a lot, but that's pretty good to get 11 from other localities that want to come here and join us in our city. And to have 16 recruits in there, and I realize 110 with 16 doesn't sound like a big deal, but until somebody understands the process of what you go through to even get to the point where you get 16 people in the academy is a tough lift, because they got to meet all these requirements to get in. Along with fire. Fire, you've done an exceptional job as well to have the number of recruits you have. You've got 2 schools running right now. They'll be coming out of the school here down the line. It's going to help. And we're always constantly turning over, so we're kind of chasing it a little bit. But you got to keep the recruitment side of it up and running hard. Keep recruiting. Don't let up off of that. The market system is great. I mean, that's just a system in itself that's fantastic. The fire side, you know, I want to talk a little bit, you know, people don't seem to really get a real lift on their head about 47, you know, going out there, 47, 5, 41 in responses is big. That's big. That's a lot of responses from both fire and, you know, I keep saying, you know, you hear these ambulances rolling. They're pounding the ground heavily. And a lot of times I hear, well, you know, we can't get a police officer at something. But go back and look at the amount of calls volumes. The call volumes between both departments is phenomenal. That's a big number for a city the size we are. And that's going to probably grow in time. But we have some busy precincts. We have some busy fire stations. And with the new station coming on up there at Station 11, that'll help kind of cut down on some of that. And I have got to agree with the mayor on this. I'm part of the Public Safety Committee, Leroy Bennett, council member, as well as the mayor, and all the professionals he mentioned, which, you know, it's a great group of people. And to sit here and look at this list, when people tell us we ain't getting anything done, and you see $5 million on the table, that's a pretty good number. That's a good number. And so we are accomplishing something. I can tell you, I'm proud to be a part of that committee, because I get to really see things happening. I get to see the side of it that I hear from people. Oh, you know, I hear every element of what's not doing. And, you know, some people might argue with this list, but you're always going to find that. Somebody's not going to agree with what we're doing. But in the big scheme of things, this has solved a lot of big safety issues, whether they seem big to the public or not. These are big issues. And, you know, I think listening to the chief about the trikes, for instance, I was kind of like not sure about the trikes when I first seen that. I'm like, how many on-the-job injuries are we going to have somebody flipping off of that thing going down the roadway? But they're pretty stable. And I watched them during Peanut Fest. And you mentioned football games, but the Peanut Fest, they were rolling through the crowds, and they were out there. We had the fire unit out there, that med unit that you guys got, which came in handy because, fire responded to a lot of medical calls right inside the Peanut Fest for one reason or another. So all in all, I just, being we're not going to be back for a month, I'm going to blow my horn on this because I think that this report is absolutely spot on, and it's a good report. It's a good statistic. People have to realize that there's a lot going on that they don't see that we're doing within our government to try to better things for our citizens and make things a lot more safer and a lot more easier for people to get things done. So I want to give credit to everybody that's involved in this. Charles, great job on your side of the house keeping us financially in line with things. You can't do it without you. You're the numbers bug in the room, so I appreciate that. So with that, Mayor, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions or comments? If not, thank you very much, folks, for your presentation. We'll now move to motions. We do have a motion to schedule a city council work session for Wednesday, November 20th, 2024 at 4 p.m. unless canceled by the mayor and city manager, and the motion would be in order. Councilman Johnson.
So move.
And a motion for approval from Councilman Johnson. Councilman Williams.
Second, Mayor.
Second from Councilman Williams. Do we have any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
Motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
We'll now move to non-agenda speakers. Madam Clerk, do we have any non-agenda speakers? And if so, please explain the guidelines.
We do have non-agenda speakers this evening. Each person participating under the item of business entitled non-agenda speakers shall limit their remarks to the services, policies, and affairs of city government and shall be permitted 5 minutes for the purpose of presenting his or her matter. Speakers appearing before city council will not be permitted to participate in the following activities: to campaign for public office, engage in personal attacks, promote private business ventures, or use profanity. Speakers who violate these rules will be declared out of order by the presiding officer and will immediately yield the floor and be seated. Our first speaker is Jack Faircloth, 848 Outer Bridge Quay, Virginia Beach, Virginia, representing self regarding real estate tax refund.
Good evening, council members. My name is Jack Faircloth from 848 Outer Bridge Way, Virginia Beach, Virginia. I'm the owner of Found Funds Limited. The purpose of my visit here this evening is because I'm in support of Jerry Boone, who had purchased a tract of land for the purpose of harvesting it for timber. The land is at Walton Hollow, Hollow Neck Pond, 25 acres. He lost that tract of land to back taxes. He attempted to have their land, the timber harvested, but he was unable to get a company to do it because nowadays the larger companies will not accept a tract of land for harvesting if it's under 75 acres. This was only 25 acres. I found out that Mr. Boone had excess funds due to him in the summer of 2023. I attempted to contact Mr. Boone by phone, and I sent him 4 letters, but I was using his registered address unaware until Mr. Boone contacted me in August that he and his wife were not staying at their address in Gates County, North Carolina, because she was suffering from Alzheimer's and he had had open heart surgery, so they were staying with his daughter in Suffolk, and that was the reason I wasn't able to reach him. And the 2-year period that's required by the city to hold the excess funds expired on July 22nd, 2024. I wasn't contacted by Mr. Boone until August the 6th, and he acknowledged that he had received the letters, but he hadn't opened the letters until recently. So I met with him on August the 7th and had him to sign a contract and a temporary power of attorney, which we were going to submit to the city to request that they award the excess funds to Mr. Boone, even though he had missed the deadline by 2 weeks. At that time, we were informed that the money had already transferred back to the treasurer, and that was the reason I'm here tonight, to ask that the funds still be awarded to Mr. Boone at your discretion.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kiana Boone, 1024 Centerbrook Lane, representing Star Haven, regarding a partnership with Suffolk Public Library for a coat giveaway.
Good evening, Mayor and Vice Mayor and Councilman. It's not as late as it's normally been when I've been here before. But basically, the reason for me coming tonight is just to reintroduce myself again. My name is Kiana Boone. I'm the president of Star Haven, and we are a local nonprofit right here in the city of Suffolk that provide housing to the single adult homeless community, as well as supportive services. Just a little bit of what Councilman Fawcett has said about Suffolk Fire and Rescue, just to kind of piggyback on that, because the homeless community that we serve have other underlying issues that put them in the position that they were in. They have been excellent as far as helping with that calls in the middle of the night, keeping me abreast and helping with our community that we serve, just so everyone would know. The city has been very, very, very supportive on our organization here. Just so you know, we work with CAPS, Suffolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority, Cheryl with Beacon of Hope at Western Tidewater, and I want to thank also James with Suffolk News Herald. He always makes sure he gets the word out on what we do and how we do things here in the community. On Saturday, October 19th, I left a few cards, pamphlets, and flyers. This time of the year, it is getting cold, and this is the last quarter, and coats, hats, gloves are needed for our community. So this is our second one for this year, our third one that we've done out of our 5 years of existence. We thought it was going to be a one-time thing, but it has become more than that. With the partnership with Suffolk Public Library, we have collection boxes in both locations, and the citizens have come out and given graciously. So if you would share it with anyone you know, church members, anyone in the community, we will be at the Morgan Memorial Library from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and cookies from Panera Bread would be given, so to make it a little sweeter. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Nikki Bailey, 7655 Granby Street, Norfolk, Virginia, representing Jack Faircloth, regarding a petition for return of real estate funds.
And good evening, esteemed members. I am Nikki Bailey. I am a practicing attorney here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Mr. Faircloth just presented before you. He is my client. I don't have a relationship with Jerry Boone Jr. I represent Mr. Faircloth, who then, in turn, takes the proper steps to purchase the list to advise him of what properties are in the current status that is needed, and then he reaches out to the respective representatives or family members. In this case, it is Mr. Boone himself. And so I was out of my office during the period that he was ultimately able to reach Mr. Boone, just because my mother had a 37-day period from her diagnosis of stage 4 lung cancer to her death. So I was out on bereavement leave. We ended up filing this on his behalf approximately 30 to 45 days later when I returned to work. So it was in September. And it was flagged because the money had already been returned to the city. However, I did just want to point out that that filing was also after the 2-year period. It expired on July 20th because the original sale was on July 20th, 2022. That was filed on July 26th. and the order sending the money back to you all was on July 30th. So everyone was a little late. Day late, dollar short. Everyone kind of was a little late on this. We were later, but the actual person, not even a family member, is still living, and it sounds like he could use the funds given the current ailments that he and his wife are suffering. And I just wanted to present that additional information. Thank you.
Our final speaker this evening is Garrett Waters, 105 Babtown Road, representing self regarding current events.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, City Council, for those watching around the world. The Department of Homeland Security announces $300 million in direct funding to communities that receive migrants and $340 million for a new competitive awards process. The Denver Gazette reported August 23, 2024, that Virginia tops the charts with sanctuary cities and counties, according to a study conducted by the immigration policy think tank, the Center for Immigration Studies. The center added 36 Virginia localities to its maps for a total of 84. Besides sanctuary states, the Commonwealth now tops the charts of states with the most sanctuary jurisdictions. April 9, 2018, Governor Northam vetoed House Bill 1257, which would have prohibited sanctuary cities. FEMA awards $110 million to the Emergency Food and Shelter Program to assist migrants who are here illegally. Department of Homeland Security announces $380 million in additional funding to communities that receive migrants who are here illegally. Department of Homeland Security announces distribution of more than $77 million in additional funding to communities receiving migrants, many of which are here illegally. Then there's another $380 million given to folks that are most likely here illegally. Remember, Suffolk was awarded a bike path months ago recently from a guy who took 3 months of paid maternity leave so he and his husband could spend time with their adopted son. You guys remember that guy. Remember when DMV closed for a couple of days, 24-hour periods here in Virginia? All the news folks said that they were going to follow up why DMV was closed, but yet nobody ever reported, not Fox, not Wavy, not anybody. Was this another CrowdStrike moment where half of our world ceased to operate due to a Microsoft issue? Or was Virginia, who has again added 36 Virginia localities to a total of 84 sanctuary jurisdictions, just trying to catch up at the DMV? I appeared here a couple years ago and spoke about COVID, about vaccines, how I still to this very day believe that they're bioweapons, increases in cancer rates, liver issues, child injury and death, heart attacks, etc. A new study has come out showing that among adolescents and children, myocarditis and pericarditis, which is inflammation of the pericardium, that's the sac that surrounds your heart, were documented only in the vaccinated groups with rates of 27 and 10 cases per million after the first and second doses, respectively. This study concluded that 1.7 million children had myocarditis and pericarditis, and it only appeared in children that had to get the vaccine. These children got the vaccine to function in society, to play on school sports, to be in the drama club, etc. As you may also recall, we had folks in this very room that were advocating for this bioweapon to be given to children. Did you know that COVID's not even reportable anymore? Do you know when you go see a doctor and they misdiagnose you with COVID, they don't even tell you the variant responsible? Why is that? Because they can't. How many medical retirements have happened for our city folks? Lastly, I'm just going to touch upon blood drives real quick. The American Red Cross does not screen blood products for spike proteins, okay? So if a person decided to get the vaccine for whatever reason, and then they donate blood, and someone goes to the hospital that did not get the vaccine, and they need blood, and they get the blood product from a person that has been vaccinated, well, it's the same thing as if you were to have vaccinated that person that decided not to get it in the first doggone place. I have yet to meet a person who opted not to get the COVID vaccine. They could not be swayed, convinced, coerced, or otherwise who regretted not getting it. Every one of us in this room, we know folks that have been negatively affected by it. These vaccines that I told you years ago that had parasites in them, these same parasites cause 96% of cancers, all cancers. Parasites also cause suicidal ideation. Parasites also cause depression. Hopefully, folks will awaken this election cycle and vote for the folks that they believe will give them what we really want, which is freedom. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen. Please support the police. Hopefully, with all the overtime, it'll be tax-free.
That concludes the speakers, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, do we have any new business this evening?
We have one item under new business this evening, a nomination for the Suffolk Clean Community Commission, Ms. Tasha Williams.
Council? Councilman Rector?
Move to approve.
A motion for approval from Councilman Rector. Councilman Johnson?
Second.
Second from Councilman Johnson. Any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
The motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
Do we have any new business that council members would like to bring before the body? Hearing none, we'll move to announcements and comments, and at this time, I'll ask if Media and Community Relations Director Jennifer Moore has any announcements.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, City Manager. I'll kick the announcements off tonight with a reminder that in observance of the election and Veterans Day holidays, City of Suffolk offices will be closed on Tuesday, November 5th and Monday, November 11th. Trash and collection will be picked up as scheduled, and Suffolk Transit will operate their normal schedule. City offices will reopen the following day after each holiday at 8:30 a.m. And the Economic Development Department is excited to announce the grand opening of Sojourn Fermentory on October 4th. Sojourn not only offers craft beer, but also a variety of food options for everyone to enjoy. For more information, visit Suffolk's website at sojournfermentory.com. And be on the lookout for upcoming ribbon cuttings across the city to include Pet Supply Plus, Godwin Self Storage, and New Realm Brewery. And the City of Suffolk had some very special visitors this week at City Hall, about a dozen high school-age teenagers from the 4Kids program. These aspiring young adults met with various department leaders and received a behind-the-scenes tour of the building. Greeted by the city manager himself, the group learned about the city council chambers, the commissioner of the revenue, the treasurer's office, public works, and the emergency communications center. Thank you to the 4Kids program for coming out. And a good time was had by all with Suffolk festivals, and they would like to express their heartfelt gratitude to all the visitors and residents for their role in making this year's Peanut Festival a remarkable success. Early numbers estimate that the action-packed 4-day period brought in about 75,000 attendees to join in on the festivities, making this event the second busiest peanut festival in the last 20 years. Your support has truly made a difference, and they are excited to see what 2025 has in store. The City of Suffolk would like to remind residents that the 30-day warning period for the red light traffic enforcement cameras are located at Portsmouth Boulevard and Nansman Parkway and Godwin Boulevard at Kings Fork Highway has begun. During the warning period, drivers who are violating the red light laws will be issued a cautionary letter delivered by mail to their residents. Then, beginning on November 10th, violators will receive a $50 fine per violation. The City of Suffolk invites the public for their input on the draft Phase 2 Chesapeake Bay Total Maximum Daily Load Action, or TMDL plan. This comprehensive action plan addresses the nutrient reduction requirements for the Chesapeake Bay, following guidance set forth by the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality. Citizens are asked to provide feedback by submitting comments online or by mailing them to the Department of Public Works. All comments must be received by October 28, 2024. For more information, visit suffolkva.us. Keep Suffolk Beautiful and the Suffolk Arts League are thrilled to announce that the vendor application process is now open for the highly anticipated Suffolk Earth and Arts Festival, scheduled for April 26, 2025 in downtown Suffolk. Vendors will be accepted through a juried process which considers past works and aims to avoid product oversaturation. Those who apply before December 31st will qualify for an early bird special, securing a 12 by 12 space for just $100. After this date, the vendor fee will increase to $150. To apply, visit the festival website at SuffolkVAEarthandarts.com. Let me say that again, SuffolkVAEarthandarts.com. And with Halloween right around the corner, check out these spooky events lined up. Suffolk Public Libraries is hosting a Halloween party taking place at the North Suffolk Library on Wednesday, October 30th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Get ready for an evening filled with dancing, games, and a selection of deliciously spooky treats. Attendees are encouraged to embrace the Halloween spirit by dressing up in their favorite costumes. For more information, check out the Suffolk Public Library on Facebook. And bring your little monsters, princesses, witches, and more to the downtown Suffolk fun-filled trick-or-treating event on Sunday, October 27th from 3 to 6 p.m. This year's event will also include a petting zoo and haunted house. For more information, visit downtownsuffolkva.com. And Suffolk's Parks and Rec Department is excited to announce that their last movie in the cinema series will be The Nightmare Before Christmas. This movie is a drive-in style with an option for lawn seating and will take place on Saturday, October 19th at Bennett's Creek Park. The fun starts at 4:45 and the movie will begin at 6:45. For more information, visit SuffolkParksandRec.com. And finally, the City of Suffolk Public Safety Committee would like to remind all residents of the Public Safety Portal. This online platform empowers our residents to share their suggestions on community safety improvements and public safety matters. Users of the portal will also have the option to submit anonymously. We want to remind residents, however, that this portal is not intended for reporting criminal activity, and in the event of an emergency, to please dial 911. For more information on the Public Safety Committee and the portal, visit suffolkva.us. And of course, on your screen are the various ways residents can stay connected to the City of Suffolk. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. We'll now move on to comments by council. Councilman Rector.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to congratulate the city, the Peanut Fest Committee, and all the volunteers, vendors, and anyone else who had anything to do with Peanut Fest. From the Queen's Banquet to the closing day, by all indications, it appears to have been a huge success, and I think Ms. Moore just pointed out the numbers to us that it was indeed a huge success. A big thank you, though, I think goes out to Mother Nature for providing us with what was absolutely perfect weather for the event. And the Shrimp Feast, to all the Rotarians out there, was a great event as always. And we even had Governor Youngkin and Congresswoman Kiggins and State Senator Emily Jordan. They put in an appearance and helped serve the food. I also attended the grand opening of the Sojourn Fermentory on Bridge Road that Ms. Moore also mentioned. They offer a different style of beer making that is more in line with the Czechoslovakian method of brewing, and from what little bit I tasted, they're going to be putting out and are putting out a great product. They also have a wide variety of food that you can order to go along with your suds. Let's see, last Wednesday, I attended the retirement party for Linda Bunch, who was, I guess now, the executive director of the Suffolk Art League. And I don't remember exactly how many years she served in that capacity, but she's been with the Art League for just about their entire history. And while not continuing as a paid staff member, she will continue to contribute her vast array of talents and her time to the organization and basically keep the rest of us in line. And congratulations to Linda on a very well-deserved retirement. And then this past Saturday, along with some other folks, I participated in the river cleanup sponsored by the Public Works and the Clean Community Commission. Many thanks to all the volunteers that showed up to participate. I think there was the largest number that I've ever seen at one of those river cleanup events. And there were several other kayakers besides myself that took to the water to help keep the river as clean as it can be. And I want to offer a special thanks to the Nansemond River and the Lakeland High School junior ROTC members who really came out in force and demonstrated in a physical way what it means to give back to your community. And my part on the river was a little bit of a struggle because when we put the kayaks out, it was almost dead low tide. And most of the trash is up against the reeds on the bank, and you couldn't get anywhere near it because of the mud. I got stuck a couple of times and almost thought I was going to have to get out of my kayak and push. But fortunately, that didn't happen. But the good news is that in all the times I've participated in this, the river was actually about as clean as I think I've ever seen it. So the little bit of trash that I was not able to get to pales in comparison to the bags and the bags that we've pulled out of that before. And then also want to give a big thank you to the fire and rescue boat that came out and participated and very kindly checked on me 2 or 3 times to make sure that I had not fallen out of my kayak and had something bad happen to me. We went to the State of the Region update hosted by the Hampton Roads Chamber of Commerce. The message this year was a little more upbeat than what it has been in the past. We all know that the region is very dependent on federal spending, which has always had a somewhat leveling effect on our economy. But the good news is that the local economy grew for the 4th consecutive years. But even though we've grown for 4 consecutive years, we're still lagging a little bit behind our peers, particularly in the area of job growth. And despite what a lot of folks see as out of control growth, and we've touched on this a little bit before earlier in the meeting, the number of single-family building permits is still less than half of what it was before the 2008 recession. And the imbalance between the supply of housing and the demand for housing continues to show a huge shortage, and nationwide, that estimated has ranged anywhere to be from 3.8 million to 7.3 million housing units. So clearly there's an issue there. And then along with Councilman Williams, Fawcett, and Vice Mayor Ward, and I believe Councilman Bennett, you were there, we attended the Virginia Municipal League annual conference that was held in Virginia Beach. And I attended the section meeting on advancing economic and real estate development. And the 2 big takeaways that I came away from are, number one, our number one job as elected officials is to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money. And then the second takeaway is that economic development is the lifeblood of any city or town. Because as we all know, for the most part, residential development is not a major net contributor to the tax base, but commercial and industrial development are. And interestingly enough, they pointed out that data centers return almost 15 to 1 in terms of the tax expenditure dollars versus what they bring to a community, but we don't have to worry about that here. I attended a workshop on crisis communication between elected officials and law enforcement. And the big theme there was to have a plan in place before any event and to be sure that everyone involved understands what their role in the event of a crisis. And there was a councilman from a local community who had had a mass shooting in their city, and nobody even sent him a text from the city, and he didn't find out about it until he got up the next morning and turned on the news, and the shooting was on the news. So I think in Suffolk, we actually do that very well. I think by and large, the city manager and the police and the fire are very good about getting that kind of information to us. And the presenter was very clear about one thing, and that while we have the right and the expectation to know as much as possible as we're allowed to know, we don't need to get involved in the actual incident, and we can leave that to the proper folks. Would you agree with that, Chief Bowie? Did we need not respond to incidents with you? Thank you very much. And then my impression from these meetings is that for the most part, our city, if you listen to all these presentations, are for the most part are doing things correctly. I think we're very good stewards of the taxpayers' money, and I think we provide the proper environment to encourage investment in our city, and I think it's reflected in the fact that the figure that the mayor gave a couple of weeks ago, about $2.1 billion worth of commercial investment in our city since 2017, 2018 bears that out. Let's see, I want to remind everybody, if you don't know, we got an election coming up. I would encourage everybody to vote, and I would also encourage everybody that if you do vote, have a little bit of an understanding of who you're going to vote for and how you think if that person gets elected is going to affect your life in a positive way. Don't just simply vote for somebody purely by their name or particularly by the letter that they have, letter designation that they have after their name. Just vote for who you think is going to do the best job for what you're electing them for. And then finally, I want to go back out and to the good folks over there in Azalea Acres that are struggling with that huge water leak, main water line break from the city of Portsmouth. I went over there and toured it this afternoon and talked to the contractors and talked to some of the residents. And it really is just amazing the scope of that project and what they're having to do. And what I just want to make sure is that even though the city of Portsmouth is responsible for the physical work in getting that line repaired, that when it's all said and done, the immediate neighbors around the Forest Hill Crescent area are returned back to whole. And I know that we will, but we definitely don't want to lose sight of the fact that a lot of people's lives are being horribly disturbed and their yards and everything have been completely torn up, but it has to be done. And then finally, Mr. Manager, I would like on the 3-lane road going out of Suffolk where the Portsmouth Boulevard intersection comes in, I don't, if there's any way that VDOT from time to time cannot have one lane closed on either side of it, it's creating, and it's another one of those things that has to be done, but it is creating, a choke point there. So if there are times where there's not anything going on one side of the road or the other, if perhaps that third lane could be reopened, it might make things go a little bit easier because, as we all know, that's the only east-west or the primary east-west route for almost all of this area, including Isle of Wight, Southampton, and Franklin, and everywhere else. And then finally, I want to talk a little bit about the Workforce Development Council. We sort of alluded to it earlier. As the Suffolk elected official representative, I attended the board meeting this morning. And I would encourage anyone who is at the high school level or even the immediate post-high school level that if you have any interest in getting any kind of training in any of the trades, welding, pipe fitting, electrical work, HVAC, any of that kind of stuff, to talk to either the people at the high school because they can put you in touch with them or contact the Workforce Development Council directly. They've got, it's a well-organized and a very well-funded organization, and a lot of times they can provide the training for no cost to the student, and when they finish, they're almost guaranteed a job, and some of those jobs pay $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year if they're willing to work at it. And there's certainly a need for skilled workers all across the spectrum. So I would encourage anybody that would have an interest in doing that. And if you're an employer and you're looking for trained workers, it's another source for you to go to try to fill those voids on your employment roles. If you're interested in starting an apprenticeship program at your company, they can help you with that. And if you're looking to hire interns, they can help you with that. And then lastly, and I promise I'll stop after this because I know everybody's ready to go home and you're tired of listening to me, but I contacted the folks from the Senior Services of Southeastern Virginia because I ran into the fellow again at the regional update and talked to them about whether they personally go into churches and other places to distribute some of their material, and they said they just really didn't have the manpower to do that. So I said, if you'll drop some stuff off by my house, I'll see if I can get it distributed. But I don't know whether it would be inappropriate if, or even allowed. If I'd like to take some maybe to the public libraries and distribute them, maybe take them to the rec centers and distribute them so that if folks come in and they're looking for any help for any kind of a senior citizen, it's a directory of who they can go to for whatever particular service that they need. And I'm personally going to be taking them out to some of the churches around, but if we could get them into some of the public places, that would be helpful. And with that, I'll say good night.
All right. Councilman Williams?
Thank you, Mayor. I would definitely be brief.
I thought you gave your time to Councilman Rector. Go ahead.
I will definitely be brief. First, the Peanut Fest and the Peanut Fest Parade, they were all great events. The shrimp feast on Friday was well attended, lots of good food, fellowship. Again, looking forward to next year. On Saturday, October the 12th, I attended the Community Leaders Brunch at the Hilton Garden at the waterfront, and our mayor got an award there. So I'd like to say congratulations to the mayor for receiving the award from the Community Leaders Brunch on Saturday. Mr. Manager, if you would, the citizens who live at the 300 block, or on the 300 block of Fuller Street, have some concerns regarding ditch maintenance there. Also, citizens who live at 221 Arizona Avenue has some ditch maintenance concerns as well. My word for the month of October is priority. The fact or condition of being regarded or treated as more important. And with that, I'll say good night.
Councilman Fawcett.
I'm going to try to cut mine down to like a second here. After that one, I need a breath. Anyway, Sojoy at Bridgeport, if you get a chance to go out there, please check it out, try it out. It was fun. Shrimp Feast, I want to thank the Peanut Fest and the Shrimp Feast group, the Brewerton Club, for a great day out there, all volunteers, everybody that was involved. We had a sellout for the Shrimp Feast, and to get 75,000 people at Peanut Fest, that's pretty awesome. This weekend, Driver Days up in Driver, Saturday, Sunday. If you'd like to participate, please come out to Driver Days. It's always a fun few moments to come out and kind of browse around a little bit. To all our city employees, thank you for everything you're doing, and, keep at it. The cotton fields are looking mighty white over there. It's looking mighty white. And VML, one of the things I've taken away, other than some of the other things, is they had a segment on affordable housing, which was very interesting. And it just opened my eyes to what you can do if you really think about it and where you can put some of these things to be able to give people an opportunity that may be less fortunate to be able to own a home and not have to pay $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 for a home. So there is options out there. I think we should have, some of our folks should have listened to that process, because the takeaway could be that if you do it right, there's ways to get credits and money and give grants and this and that to get that done. With that, I'm going to say good night. Thank you. We'll see you in November. Good luck to everybody on the election, by the way.
Councilmember Butler Barlow.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to say thanks to all the staff that gave reports tonight. We got a lot of good information, and I appreciate that. Appreciate that we're kept in the loop and updated on stuff. So thanks to they're home and not listening anymore, but thanks to staff for the presentations tonight. I was wondering if Councilman Rector was going for a participation award, but no. I don't think we give that, but if we do, I'm going to lose that one. Anyway, sorry, I had to say something. I want to congratulate the staff of the Peanut Festival for an excellent weekend, or excellent couple of, well, it's been a week and a half, but from the beginning with the Queen's Banquet all the way through the end, I tried to participate in a lot of it. There's another Peanut Festival going on, so it's hard to go to everything, but it was a beautiful weekend. The live music was especially good, and that my only negative comment is we need to find a better way to get cars in and out. I sat in traffic for an hour, so but we sat in traffic for an hour, so we were willing to do that to get in. But a really nice event and great attendance, and absolutely beautiful weather. So the other peanut festival that's going on is a peanut festival, cotton, soybeans, corn, and whatever else our farmers are growing. It is harvest season. There's a lot of big equipment, hopefully on the road and not broken down. Just want to wish all of the folks that farm in our community and around the area a successful and safe harvest. I had another farmer tell me today to be careful so you can do it again next year, which is a lot about what we do. So yeah, safe harvest to everyone, and hope it's bountiful, and hope the weather holds out so we can get it in all in a timely manner. And lastly, I started off with an invocation about the election, and I just want to reiterate the fact that it's important. You have the right to vote. Not everyone in the world has that right, and I hope everyone will honor that commitment and make wise and well-informed decisions. And with that, I'll say goodnight.
Councilman Johnson.
You skip,
Oh, I'm
you
sorry,
skip
skip right over Councilman Bennett.
You go
Wait a
ahead
minute.
first. We have to stay in order.
You're exactly right.
Yes.
You're right in between there.
Your
Councilman Bennett, go ahead.
No problem.
So I'll know what to
Oh,
do.
let me turn your thing on there.
Let's show the speech
There
at
we
the end
go.
of them tonight. One thing I want to ask, I don't know if I asked the manager, you or the police chief, the light at Portsmouth Boulevard and National Parkway, they got the cameras activated according to what's being reported. There's no sign on National Parkway coming up to the stoplight. It's one on East Washington Street, one on Portsmouth Boulevard, but not one telling people that's coming up to the light on National Parkway, to Portsmouth Boulevard, saying camera. I just don't want someone to be coming saying, well, there's no sign there, and got a ticket to warn them that it was camera. Now, it might not have a camera for that side, I don't know.
It's just okay.
Can you answer that?
We'll check with Public Works.
Okay, yeah, because after I saw it, I kept looking to see where they had posted a sign, because usually whatever direction is a sign there, and I haven't seen one. So I just want to bring that to your attention. Also, I'm going to just say a quick shout out about the Peanut Fest and the Queen Luncheon. As I stated at the last council meeting about my granddaughter being on the court, and she was blessed to be able to win the Queen's honor. And I just want to give her congratulations and how proud we are of her. And she really, I think her speech, I've had a lot of people have called and whatnot, so I mentioned to the manager in my meeting the other day, I would like for her to come and present to the council and to the public here at a meeting of her speech. I think it would be well pleasing to the community and the citizens to hear what she had to say. So I would request that we will give her a few minutes during our work session or late appearance, or whatever you want to do, give her the opportunity to come and present herself as the queen of the Peanut Fest. And I think everyone, the weather was great turnout, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself there. And with that, I think we had a short agenda, so everybody, I think, probably thought they would be out by now, but I guess but I had a call, somebody said, no, you won't. So, but anyway, we are here, and glad to see Pastor Ellis. He sat the whole council meeting with us. I thought he was going to be up for late appearance. Welcome, sir. Continue to come.
Councilman Johnson?
And I struck everything on my list that Mr. Rector said, so I'm going to be really quick. But like everyone else, I don't have a choice but to say something about Peanut Fest. Of all my years of going to Peanut Fest, I think this was honestly the happiest, cleanest, best organized, and the policemen were amazing, the firemen were amazing, all of the city staff was, everyone I spoke with had an amazing time. I think we finally kind of taught the rest of Sidewater, those 75,000 people, what we're about. and that's why they don't want to miss it. I saw more people that I didn't know than I did know, but it was certainly an amazing Peanut Fest, and that just goes all the way across the board. I'd be remiss if I didn't remember one person in my comments today. I don't know how many are as old as I am and remember Prudent Hardware downtown, but Prudent Hardware was before Lowe's. It was before all of these big box stores, and that's where we all went to buy our screws and nails forever. Well, I say that because Sunday, Brooke Prudent, one of the younger Prudents, Brooke was 74, I think, passed away. He had MS, and he was with his wife, but Brooke was a wonderful man. I took art classes with him. We laughed together. We had a wonderful time. It was just, he was a good guy, and a big part of our city for a lot of years. So I just would like to remember the Prudent family and let them know that we're thinking about them and they're in our thoughts. Linda Bunch, she knows we've been very blessed to have such a person as part of our art program for all these years, and she deserves a good retirement, though there's something in the back of my head that knows she's not going to really retire. So hopefully we'll see her around an awfully lot. Kings Fork Rotary Club 75th anniversary was last night. Had a nice dinner and talked to all these good people from the county, and it was a wonderful event. Me and the mayor were actually there together, and it was a really good event, so I applaud them as well. Public Safety Committee, I just have to say this because we are so fortunate to have this Public Safety Committee, and I give a lot of credit to our mayor and to the police department and all the people that participate on the committee, because it is truly something that is doing big things for us as a city. Tonight's report was wonderful, and I'm happy to see it as it moves forward for the city. And the last thing, you're going to go vote, I hope. Remember, the registrar people are good people. The people that are sitting in there doing the registration for people and leading the voting, most of them are volunteers, are good people. Treat them with the respect that they deserve and let them know how much we appreciate them, because we are very fortunate to have these people out there. But the main thing is go vote. Thank you. Good night.
Vice Mayor Ward.
Yes, Councilman Bendit stole my little thunder. I seen the pastor Dallas in the audience, and I said I wasn't mentioned to him. So thank you for coming. You're very humble, and I talked with you at a ribbon cutting, and when you talked again, you said you will be here on a Wednesday. So thank you so much for being here, and don't let it be the last time, and get more involved in the community. I think you're a jewel in the city here. Thank you for coming again. The people that over there in, well, I say in my borough, by Food Line, Goodwill is closed, and we had to make sure that some of the people are still donating clothes, and I just want to let them know that it's closed now, so please don't leave your clothes there. We had a couple of complaints about that, and Kevin helped me out. Thanks again, Kev, and he helped me out with that and got in contact with some people. We have a problem with lights. So we got Burris Grant is talking about lights on a different area, and the Vita, where you have the dialysis, is kind of dark there, and I don't think it's fair for that a business who paying their rent and everything else is so dark early in the morning, and people that have to get out of ambulance service and they already have disabilities, and I think it's too dark behind there where the DeVito's at, and it's been going on for a while, and some of the people said to me, and I talked with Kevin about it, he said he's going to get on there, which he always do, and I think I'm for that again. I think it's unfair, it's too dark, it's just too dark there. I hope we can, sometimes when people build things, I think we should make sure we can contact who we need to contact to get things done, especially the people paying their rent and they doing their business. Hilton Garnier, the leadership, congratulations again, Mayor. Lisa Burrell put on a great show, a brunch. We're very impressed with it. It was a lot of enthusiasm in the crowd, and all them awards, for people to get all them awards. It's a good event. It's the first time I went, and I surely won't be my last time. So she did put on a good event and very impressive. Affordable housing. Thank you, Roger, for saying about affordable housing. That was a good topic. And I really enjoyed that. I think, well, I don't know how we can get on the ball, but is going on, and we need to try to see what we can do, especially in the city of Suffolk. There's a sidewalk problem in Burgess Grant. I think Kevin again. I don't know if he contact the office, but it's a sidewalk, and people have strollers and people have wheelchairs. I mean, and bike. They'll flip over. The sidewalk is bad. And I looked at it, it's by the office, so hope we can take care of that. Pewsville Road. I want to know, do we have any type of plan to widen that road somehow? The cars are coming kind of fast, and you can't even go to the mailbox. That's how you get your mail, you gotta go sideways. You can't walk straight because them cars are coming. So I don't know if we got a plan, because they got the ditch there. They can't walk in the ditch. You can't even walk part of your next door neighbor outside, no sidewalks. We got to find out what can we do about that. I don't know what our plans for that, but I think that's very uncomfortable. And I hate to see somebody get hit in something that's been going on for a couple of years. I don't know if we have a plan for that, city manager, but I would like to find out what can we do if we can't, because they don't have no sidewalk, they don't have no walkway. So I want people in Pewsville to be real safe, because I was out there and a lady told me to be careful. And she said, it's been going on for a while, and that's one thing you can do with the situation on Pewsville Road. Peanut Fest, you're right, Councilman. They were very nice, very pleasant, and they always do a good job, always treat me well. And when one guy, I forgot his name, he was on one of them carts that my wife and my granddaughter need a ride, and he attempted to take them. We had to park it. We parked in the back, so he attempted to take them to the fest, and I appreciate it. And I forgot his name. I'm gonna find out what his name was, because I thought that was real generous of him to even do that. And I'll try to get to the shrimp feast, and so I thank him so much for that. And like I said, they do a good job, and thank you for all the information we have. And everybody said, you got to vote. Need your vote. With that, I say, God bless.
Okay, I'll try to wrap it up here. We talked about quite a lot. I do want to thank Linda Bunch, start off thanking her for her service to our city. She's been as dedicated as any volunteer could be, and she's really been the cement that's held that together. Once again, thank you for your service to Queen's Banquet. Councilman Bennett, you're right. Your granddaughter had a great essay. I actually read the whole essay, and it was very, very, very well written, and will represent our city well over the next year. The Sojourn Fermentory ribbon cutting, that's where you buy beer, Fermentory. Over on 17 in northern Suffolk, I went to their soft opening a couple of weeks before the ribbon cutting and talked to a couple of the principals there, the owners, and I believe they're from Fairfax, and they mentioned they wanted to come to the Hampton Roads area, and they went to Virginia Beach, and they went to Chesapeake, and they went to Suffolk, and he said as soon as we got to Suffolk, we knew this is the place we wanted to be. So go to the beach, go to Chesapeake, come and end up in Suffolk, I think says volumes as to where we are and how we're perceived throughout the region. Peanut Fest Parade went off without a hitch. Thank you, PD, for putting that together. Like it always is, a great event to kick Peanut Fest off with. I did miss the state of the region, but we talked about the housing shortage and how that is affecting, obviously, the cost of housing. A couple days later, I went to the 25th anniversary celebration of the Lewis and Mary Haddad Foundation. I don't know if you know the Haddads or not, but they just celebrated their 25th year of their nonprofit, and they do a lot behind the scenes, as a lot of our citizens do. They've got a mission of they develop and fund creative educational programs to assist those in need and completing the necessary education essential for a fulfilling life. So I just want to reach out to them and say thank you for what you do. Suffolk also hosted another event on Friday before the Shrimp Feast. It was Live to Lead Leadership Conference at Hub 757 in northern Suffolk. I think Regent University was a sponsor of that as well. I stopped by for a little while. Once again, they're having that event in our city. The Shrimp Feast was just like the rest of Peanut Fest. It was just awesome. The weather was awesome. And more importantly, it was forecast for 10 days out that the weather was going to be awesome. So we sold tickets out the week before that. Monday, usually we don't sell out to the day of the event because everybody's holding off to making sure that the weather's going to be okay. I do want to shout out to Dr. Lisa Burrell at the Hilton Garden for putting on the Community Leaders Brunch and sponsoring the Leading Leaders Awards, and she had asked me to come, and which I did, but I was really surprised by another presentation that she gave me, a recognition of President's Lifetime Achievement Award. So thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated, and I'm humbled to receive it. Kings Fork 75th anniversary. With Councilman Johnson last night. That used to be in the Chuckatuck Borough a long time ago, till we kept on moving out. Now I'm almost out of my own borough now. But a great group of folks. They've been at it for a long time. 75 years is a long time for any organization. And with that, I'll go to my quote of the night, and go figure it has to do with voting. Let me see. I actually have, I'm going to do two quotes of the night. Shoot. First one is, voting is the foundational act that breathes life into the principle of the consent of the governed. Go think about that for a minute. Voting is the voting is the foundational act that breathes life into the principle of the consent of the governed. And that was by DeForest Soares. And there's another one here by Tony Snow that says, voting is a right best exercised by people who have taken the time to learn about the issues. And I suggest you do that before you vote. So with that, I'd like to wish everybody good evening and ask for a motion to adjourn. Councilman Williams?
So move.
A motion for adjournment, Councilman Williams, Councilmember Butler Barlow.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Butler Barlow. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Probably not. Council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
The motion is approved by a vote of 8 to 0.
This meeting stands adjourned.